Hi there. You have to call me your bad penny tonight. Turning up for you yet again. It seems a heart just can't get it all said in one video. Okay, so I'm just going to ramble, okay? In the last videos, the talk has been about, and the sharing has been about how to be real with yourself and to climb down out of the attic. You know, you've been in your head for far too long. That's not the place of good, solid reality within your being. That's an interesting place to be, and there's nothing wrong with it. But what's happened is we've identified with it, and we've decided that that's who and what we are, and that's at the base of an awful lot of mess that's just unnecessarily unpleasant, and it's not meant to be like that at all. This is meant to be a whole lot more fun than it is when we get too identified with it. And so heart is ever and always the best place to be. You'll hear me saying that. But at any rate, center in your chest. Step down out of your head and do it consciously, and take the trip with me. Now, how about looking just a wee bit more at how when we are non-accepting of the self, see, the thing that we've got the greatest need for is love, right? Well, don't be looking out at the world out there. That love needs to be applied to the self. You need to love the self as if you were your best friend in the world, as if you were the dearest lover and partner, and I mean, you know, God itself. You need to love yourself as I do, as we all do. And we have fractured our identity by rejecting ourselves. And we were taught to do this when we were very young, you know, bad boy, bad girl, there it starts. And so we're taught to disown our feelings. We're not allowed to have them, to share them, to feel them, much less does anyone come along and help us understand. And so the fracturing of the self starts oh so early. I'm sure for some it starts in the womb. I don't know, you know, that's not my message tonight, but it's important. Well, it would just bring a benefit. It would bring a blessing if people could, from the perch in the heart, witness this. Because what happens is when you're in heart and you hear something that has the ring of truth to it, that resonates in your heart. It's like bells ring, and you get internal confirmation. You've got guides and angels and beings of light that work with you, and they share with you whether you're open or not. That sharing is going on, and you've got a higher self that works actively with these beings. Well, why not? I say it's time for the supposedly lower self to start stepping up here. And we're raising in frequency and vibration anyway. It won't be long at all. And we will begin to start seeing these beings all around us. Okay? So why not be in heart for all of this and begin to commune with them more consciously? All right? I'm not suggesting seances and all kinds of whacked out stuff, okay? When we remain in heart and stay loyal to heart, you don't have to worry about getting wacky and weird. Now let me take a minute with that. You know, sometimes it's part of somebody's divine plan to go the direction that you would least think. So I'm going to take it back. You know, it's probably somebody's business to be what some would call whacked out. But anyway, I read my heart. You can do that. If you be in heart, you can read this heart, and you can really know what's being said here. Now, let me tell you, you do really know all of what's being said here. You're perceiving it on a certain level, and it's on you to pick that up and tune in and begin to own. Let's all together begin to own more and more of the self. As we begin to own and accept more and more of ourself, stop suppressing our feelings and start owning and stepping up with a sense of responsibility to the things that go on in the life. As we're willing to do this, this is how a sovereign behaves. And as we're willing to do this, things change, and we're granted more and more opportunities and blessings. And it's just a really good thing. Okay, so you do pick me up, and one of the first things, if you want to tune into that, is to find where that little idea is resident that you can't do that. Find it and pitch it. Okay? There's all kinds of ideas. You can go back in some of my older videos where the teaching is that just seeing is doing. You see things, and a negative situation will crumble simply on being spotted, on being seen. That's what was needed. That's why the situation was there in that case. In many, many cases, situations come up so that we can see them. Well, then once seen, that kind of a situation will simply vanish. It served its purpose. Okay? Like a lot of these feelings, there's something that you've been trying to tell yourself, that I've been trying to tell myself, that somehow we've tuned out and we've distanced ourselves from it. More fracturing of the being. See, everything out there is a fractured part of the self in some way, but the things that directly impinge upon us, the people in our circle and the things that are said, the feelings that we have, and the things that come up, you can know that this is a real direct communication between you and you. And so let's do a whole heck of a lot less rejecting. And by taking up our perch or our space within heart, by, you know, there's a throne in there. By being seated on that throne and just observing, oh my God, your life will change so freaking much, and you'll be so happy as this goes down, and as you become aware of more and more, and you realize it's not all senseless mayhem, you know, and it's not what we've been trained to believe it is, what mind thinks it is, all of that. You know, there's an older video that I haven't mentioned in a long time. It's the open letter to mind, and it's there was an ancient book called The Cloud of Unknowing, and this one is called The Cloud of Knowing, Open Letter to Mind. Now it's graphic. It's full of swearing, believe it or not. Sweet little Jane here with the halo, you know, really turned the air several shades of blue with that one. But it's a tussle with mind, and it's getting the upper hand. It's stepping out so that we're not identified so much anymore, or at all anymore, with that part of us. It's fine to have a mind. It's not fine to think you are the mind. And see, if somebody challenges an idea that you've got and you find yourself getting angry, that's because you identified with that idea. You're too identified with the mind, or you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't react that way. So look at the things that ring your bell. that pull your chains, that push your buttons, you know, whatever weirdo image we want to use, it doesn't matter. But don't just look at them from heart. See, what doesn't work is people think that they can do this work from within the head. These are those enlightened egos out there. Maybe you're one of them, you know, and you think that because you understand it mentally that means you get it, and you think that means you need to be a teacher and that kind of thing. Well, all right, be in heart with it and be willing to be taught. I need to be willing to be taught too, you know. Humility, if you don't have humility, I suggest you're not in touch with your heart, because that's just a part of what's there. Now, you've heard me speak on the inside out, upside down, and backwards way that 3D is. 3D is a reflection of something else, and so it is backwards, and it's amusing, and it's funny, and sometimes it doesn't appear to be, but given enough distance from it, there's a lot of humor there, and there's a lot of beauty, sometimes even in things that look gory on the surface. But see, being stuck on the surface, and if you get angry and upset because somebody challenges some idea you have about the ecosystem or saving the whales or something, I mean, yes, it's important to do those things, but you're way out of balance if you're getting all upset when you're challenged about pretty much anything. Okay? We don't have to do anything. It would be nice to find all of us centered in heart. As that happens more and more, we respond to one another with love, dignity, honor, and respect, even when people disagree with us, even disagree with us radically. You know, we never lose our cool, and we don't lose our respect for one another. And there's a dignity to that is divine. It's a Christhood that's calling to us. Nothing less. All right? Now, let's start falling in love with the self. You can start by getting rid of all those lousy ideas and images and little sayings you have, like, I always this, and I never that, or I should this. Pitch it. All right? It's unkind and unloving to the self. Don't should on yourself. It's very rude, you know? No shoulds, no ought tos, none of that. It's time to love the self. You want to find divinity? Look within. It deserves respect. And the first one that you need to respect is you. And everything else just falls into place. See you soon. See you now if you go in your heart.